So, I spent the holidays in Denmark. And I've spent the holidays before with my girlfriend and her parents, and it's delightful. And we did the traditional Yule time things. We walked around, we went to Christmas markets, we had mulled wine, we had able skewers, we had the pork roast. But this time, we did do some things that I did not expect to see. Yes, I did expect to see a lot of nis when I went to Denmark. They have them all over the place, in the museums, in Tivoli, in store windows. But when we went to visit her father in Saeby, we got to see a nis orchestra. You say, what is a nis orchestra? It is an orchestra where all the members of the orchestra are dressed as nis. Look at that nis orchestra! And boy, could they play! And I'm going to be leaving this music on as background for the Christmas spirit. Also, when I was in Saeby, I went on a torchlight parade, a pagan torchlight parade. We had lit torches and walked together in the woods like they did in the Viking days when they were pagans. And why? Because light is a precious commodity when you're that far north. And so the Danes celebrate the seasons of light, not just the seasons of weather. And on December 13th, this was the winter solstice. And they were out in force. Nor did I expect to see a goat walking the streets of a town in Denmark. That's right, it's the Yule goat, which is a Danish tradition that dates back centuries. In the 17th century, no, the 18th century, it depends on how you count, probably in the 17th century as well, there was a tradition that when you had your Christmas meal, someone came into the dinner near the end and dressed as a goat and told uncomfortable truths about the guests. Well, we don't have to do that now because we have social media and you can just post whatever uncomfortable truths you have about your friends on whatever social media site you want to, and you don't even have to wait until Christmas. I also did a stand-up set in Copenhagen.
Why am I here in Copenhagen at Christmas time at an open mic? Because I have a Danish girlfriend. So that means that Danish people are not perfect.
I also brought my nis calendar candle, which I started this year. And because we had to finish the Christmas season in Denmark, I had to bring my half-finished nis Christmas candle with me. Me, the nis, and my Danish girlfriend, who is off screen, I took him around to some places, like the Royal Copenhagen, the pottery, the place that makes those dishes. And during Christmas, they have these exhibits where they get artists who will design a dining room table. Well, I couldn't resist, and neither could the nis. Me, the nis, and my Danish girlfriend, who's right here, and we were consulting with the nis. And the nis liked the dining room settings. They thought they were fine dining room settings, but with a little work, they could be great, in fact. And the nis had some ideas, and he just decided, whoa, why wouldn't these people put me on their dining room table? Well, that's a no-brainer. So I just said, we're gonna put the nis on the table, we're gonna see. And I want you to tell me, do you like them more or less with the nis? Leave your comments below. Doesn't the nis look great on that table? And doesn't the table look better because it has a nis? You know what also looked good? It was this gangster rubber ducky, a miniature rubber ducky that was on a bicycle that we spotted. He had a gold chain and he was on this bicycle at Aarhus. Kinda would give Pitbull a run for his money. And talk about gangster, well, A year ago, I got some currency before we went to Denmark, and they gave me 1,000 kroner bill. Well, apparently, the 1,000 kroner bill is being taken out of circulation next year. Why? Because of fraud and money laundering. So here I had 1,000 kroner. My girlfriend thought, we're never gonna cash it. They're gonna think you're a drug addict. I said, me? Do I look like someone who's toting around? I don't have a chain like the rubber ducky, but I did have 1,000 kroner. So I just said, well, it's easy. You take it to a hotel, a restaurant, because you know what? Money's money. And these people know what to do with money. And so we changed it in the hotel. Cashing the 1,000 kroner was not a big deal, but what was a big deal was when I went through the Flying Tiger store in Aarhus. Because let me tell you something, there you have temptations. All right, another particularly Danish store is the Flying Tiger. It's not in Danish, but it's Flying Tiger, which it's Copenhagen. This is not in Copenhagen, this is in Aarhus. They're all over the place. They used to be in the United States. I am sad they are gone, but they have a tremendous selection of interesting stuff. Not necessarily, you won't find a washing machine. Temptations of all these little things, which seem cool, but do you really need them? I don't think so. The last thing that tempted me was this bag of giant marshmallows. I had never seen such marshmallows. You see, and talk about seeing something unique, I watched the Queen's New Year's speech where she abdicated her throne. That's right, 52 years she's been queen, and then she says, nope, I've had enough.
52 år efter at jeg efterfulgte min elskede far, vil jeg træde tilbage som Danmarks dronning. Jeg overlader tronen til min søn, kronprins Frederik.
And it's never really been done. Most of these monarchs in Denmark and in Scandinavia have stayed on their throne until they have died. But she said, no, we need to do things differently. We need the health. Apparently she had a back issue, and her son and a very glamorous wife were willing to step in and be a very energetic monarch, which is very good, because you want to have, not that you should say, let's hide our elderly people, but, you know, if you're going to run a country, show a country, it's good to show vitality. Now, after the Queen's speech, we did what most Danes did. We went out and lit firecrackers in the streets of Saeby. And it's great fun. You just go there. You couldn't do that in New York City. It's easier to buy a gun in the United States than there is to get fireworks. Pretty good stuff. I acted like a gangster, saw the government upheaval in Denmark, and then tried to blow up the country one sparkler at a time. You can do a lot of stuff in Denmark, and we did. Thank you kindly.